introductions. I'm Tim Patton, founder and president of Trekka Technologies. A little bit about our company. I started the company about 3 years ago after exiting from a number two position in a tech company that we walked through an acquisition. So that was my history for some time. And prior to that, I've been into multiple industries and multiple positions from top to bottom and everywhere in between. So my background is operations and finance, and again, different fields from healthcare to transit to a multitude of different areas in business. I've had exposure to a lot of different fields, and that's where I have the opportunity to kind of use my discernment in how we approach some of the objective views of what we do within in the industry and what we do. Trekka Technologies itself, what we started at was more on the consulting side, and now we've grown into the technology side. And the technology side of what we do gravitated towards AI technology, generative AI, and also video generation and production. So we have two sides of our house. We have the production side, where we have a team that develops and builds content based on what a company needs. They give us their content and we massage it, turn it into a teaching script, because we want it to sound like they sound when they're standing one-to-one in front of their own employees. And therefore, we turn that into a video using the AI generated avatars. And those avatars can be chosen from over 100 that will match whatever audience we're speaking to. So you'll see an example of those later on. And then we go a little further on the other side of the house. We have an LMS that is white labeled. So our goal is to, if you have us come in, we build a white label portal with your branding, your logo, your colors, your feel. And so when your employees log into that portal, they see their assignments and they see your brand and your name on it. So they don't really look at us and see us. We just manage it on the back end. The beauty of what we do with the automation is that every 2 weeks we get a generated automated file that comes to us that has a simple roster of name, email, and what group they're in with that company, and that is segregated by company, and that gets uploaded, and any new employees automatically get an email that says, hey, thank you for joining. You're part of our group now within company XYZ, and simply make your own password, log in, and when they do, they see their assignments that are already sitting there for them to take. So multiple languages, as you probably already know, we can speak just about any language with that training, and that allows us to bridge any gap, any field, and deliver that on demand, anytime, anywhere, and in any language. So that's kind of our motto. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and jump right in and go ahead and share my screen to show you what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to move really, really fast. I'm going to ask you to hold your questions to the end, or you may put those questions in the chat and we'll manage those and take those questions first as we get to the end of the session, and then we'll have some time to answer questions, and hopefully we'll answer everything that you have that you want to address. So before we get to that, I want to introduce our director for product development, Austin Patton. He is on this call, as well as Adam Cole. He's our director of business development. And we have a array of other folks as well that do production and customer support on the backside. So we'll hope to introduce you to those as we move into the future. So housekeeping, we've covered that. We'll get to questions at the end. And so we're going to go ahead and jump into what we're looking at today. In any circumstance where you're wanting to build a very well-oiled machine and improve and streamline your learning and development inside your company, that includes onboarding, training, and continuing education. It's always important for us to understand upfront what the strategy is going to be. So from your perspective, we like to talk to you at the very beginning about, and we want you to think about this as you're looking at your business and what you do. We like to look at what you want to accomplish with the training. Is your goal to increase sales, therefore we need to improve the sales team and their training, or is your goal to lower accidents within the company? We have a lot of safety training that we do, and through that, we're able to get a grip on those folks in the field. Many times the multilingual language barriers are a problem because they may say they got trained, but they didn't understand the training. So those are effective in the field. And so to have that strategy and to understand where your goals are and the vision of the company is really key up front. And we hope to accomplish that anytime that we go into business with a client and we try to get their strategy laid down in place. So first off, we're going to use a case study, and this is made up case study from a company we named American Hydraulic. As you can see on the screen, they're in the industrial equipment repair, been in business 28 years, 150 employees, doing about 21 million. And notice over here, we always like to look at this because this $140,000 per employee revenue is a simple number that is used to break down your gross revenue divided by your number of employees. This factor right here will tell a lot about a company, if they're in a growth mode or if they're in a survival mode or if they're in a problem mode. So that helps us understand where we're focusing and training. If you'll look on down through the data here, you'll notice that we have employee turnover is rather high. Typically, it's anywhere from 15% to 20. We're a little over that. And the reason we've put into this case study is because it's driven by those risk factors and the injuries on the job, thus driving up workman's comp and other things within the company. So very important to understand those metrics prior to jumping into any training. So moving forward, as we build that strategy out with the company, you guys wanting to do your own internal training, onboarding and training, this is for you. So, and we'll share this with you after, so you'll have these tools to use to kind of sharpen what you're doing internally. Anytime you do this, you can look at the statistics. They're going to show you that it's the cornerstone of your growth within the company. Anytime you build an effective system with learning and development, if you get the strategy right and you align it properly with your goals and your vision within the company, you're going to have higher retention, lower turnover, and ultimately higher profits. It all translates out. That's a tough number to quantify, but it can be done with the right data. So as we move through, we look at why that drives that higher income with the company, shows the employees know what they're doing, higher margins. The ones that have the strongest L&D show the highest margins, and then they are definitely 2.5 times more likely to outperform the competitors in that same field. Aligning with your goals, we talked about that, assessing those needs up front, defining audiences. I like to, when we're on the consulting side of the business, we use SMART goals quite often to look at those things within the company and work through employee levels and manager levels, director levels, so that we can understand what their goals are. And I mean, drill it down to what the goals of the employee might be, because if you're not aligned with that from the ground up, then you're off track typically very quickly. Design a framework and then establish those metrics. So as we look through that, you can kind of see in the breakdown here of revenue growth, market expansion, customer satisfaction, and retention. All of those are key in aligning those business goals. As you assess the needs and setting those objectives, assessing those, we use surveys, performance reviews. 360 is a great tool to use, as well as skill assessments. SMART objectives, obviously specific, measurable, achievable, relative, and time bound. Those are key elements whenever you're getting a good survey and feedback with your employees. Examples that we talk about are going to be the rate at which those trainings are done and how effectively we can deliver them. So we always want to try to do those. Pardon me. And again, I'm going very fast. I know for time's sake here, we want to make sure and honor your time and also get as much content as we can in during this period. So designing your framework, you're going to want to know your training types, what those are, and what do you currently do, and what are the best practices within the industry? Those are really key to understand. Delivery methods, how are you going to deliver those? You're going to use an LMS, you're going to do them in person, or you're going to do digital classroom or mobile learning where you're out in the field. And then, of course, before that, you're going to look into content creation. How do you build videos or animations if you wish to do that? A lot of folks are still using PowerPoint. They're still using, things that are, uh, a little bit outdated, but they are effective in the sense that if you're teaching them one-to-one, PowerPoint and those Word documents are typically what we get our hands on to develop our digital training within the company. When you're doing that content creation, be aware of language translations. What are your needs internally? Scenario-based learning, that's critical because, those are the what if moments where what happens if we have a crisis here? What are the outcomes going to be? What are steps going to be? So you always want to be training for those at the highest level. And then AI generated content, which is where we live and breathe. We like to use a hybrid of that. So we take the industry standards on whatever your content is, and we turn it into that teaching, speaking script, if you will. And then executing your strategy is always important. I'm not going to go through every piece of this because we're going to get to that in later segments so that we can talk about once you've built those things, how do you apply them? And then, of course, measuring your success within those metrics, looking at training completion, employee engagement, skill application, and what is the impact to the business, which is critical because we all want to make more money, right? So that's one of our main factors. So as we kind of do an overview of the strategy piece of what we do that internally, but I encourage you to start doing it now, implement those types of activities within your organization to help it grow, to help it kind of sharpen its blade, if you will, and also streamline what you're doing internally. Automate, automate, automate. I can't say it enough. The tools are out there for you to automate. We use automation and AI heavily. Why? Because it makes us be able to grow our business faster, doing more with less. So that's one of our catchphrases as well. So as I wrap up on that, we're going to roll over into Austin's going to take over and talk about L&D tools and the platforms that we use to get the job done. Austin?
All right, so going over our modern L&D tech stack. Um, all of this might be new to some of you, but these are really the cutting edge tools that we implement with our clients on a daily basis, and this is really gonna make sure that you jumpstart your L&D program and can continue that ongoing development.
Sorry. I'm driving, so he's going to get onto me for not scrolling fast enough. All right.
All right, so first off, whenever we're creating our our content that will ultimately end up as a, speaking, teaching script, we're going to start with LLMs, so large language models. Top three that we use are going to be ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok. And Tim is going to go more in depth on those after I'm done.
Okay.
So for the actual video production, we'll show you a little sneak peek of that here in a minute. But the primary tool we're going to use is Synthesia. So we're able to develop these custom trainings without having to sit down in front of a camera and record a presentation or hire someone else to do it for tens of thousands of dollars potentially. An additional benefit of this platform is there's over 140 languages right now. And then for more of the high skill people, you might want to use a different platform for post processing. If you need to add in more sophisticated design elements or custom audio or whatever. So for that, it's going to be stuff like Adobe Premiere Pro, or one level down from that might be CapCut, and then kind of at the bottom that has the least capability but is easiest to use, maybe like iMovie.
Yeah.
So as far as visual design that we will implement into the videos, got two platforms we've been using lately. So Gamma is a new AI design tool that we like a lot. It's actually what we use to create these presentation slides here. Very simple to use. You can, type a prompt in there and it can generate it, or you can add a outline for your presentation, upload the document there, pick your styling, and everything is good to go. Next on the list is going to be Napkin. It's going to allow us to do some diagrams, and you can see on the right, that's Napkin. At the top is what you paste in. So you just take your little outline of what you want to generate, and then pick the structure of the diagram, and it'll spit out something just like that.
Okay.
And then finally, our LMS platforms where the trainings are going to be hosted. The one we use personally is LearnUpon. Extremely good industry leader in analytics. So if you want to drive your business growth and want to see on a granular level which people are, performing properly, passing their exams and progressing, through the content, LearnUpon is excellent for that. Another big player is iSpring. We haven't used them personally, but that is an alternative. The two most important things with these LMS platforms is going to be your analytics, of course, and then user experience. We want to move away from the outdated systems where people are handing out binders full of pieces of paper, or it's one-on-one with this one manager who they're the only one that knows how to do your job. So we're able to have a unified learning hub with all of our trainings in one spot.
I want to jump in and say that Austin mentioned LearnUpon as being our LMS of choice, and that's what we use to build we have that license to build white label upon. We did some research, and we took the top 10 LMS platforms a couple of years ago, and there are some new ones out there that have just come on the scene, but the tried and true platforms out there, we took the top 10 and boiled it down to what we needed. I will tell you that every company is a little bit different, but to deliver our style of training where you have the ability to train, track the progress, and also just see what's going on from a high level, and also get those reports that you need. LearnUpon is going to be one of those things that allows you to fulfill that. Those safety companies that I mentioned that do training, that we don't call it OSHA certified, but we say it's OSHA compliant. So we take compliant training that has been stamp of approval by OSHA, and we use that content and that framework to build our trainings upon, and we do get those checked by a contractor that's a certified trainer within the OSHA world. So that gives you an idea of what we want to do. Is we want to be able to say, if someone walks into one of those clients of ours and says, hey, let me see your report showing the staff has taken all of these required trainings, they can simply do that at a touch of a button and pull it up pretty quickly and easily. So, all right. run to the, let's see, we were on the last one of those. Actually, that's the last one of those. So let's move on to the next, which is the AI content creation, which Austin mentioned. The language models that we deal with are, in fact, ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok. And the reason we deal with those three is because obviously they're the biggest names, but they also have the most learning behind them. That's critical because there's a lot of AI, everything's got AI attached to it right now. We can just all agree to that because what it does is it allows people to piggyback on with a certain software and they can enhance it using AI. But when the AI element is trained to a higher level, like you see with ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok, those systems are, far beyond capabilities of the others. So what I did is a small comparison, which we'll share this with you so you can kind of see what they all do best. Their capabilities, I won't talk through each note, but each one of these is listed out in their capabilities, which match specific needs within a company's use. And then we have a head-to-head comparison with content creation, visual analysis, real-time data, and academic research behind it. So very impressed with Grok. Grok has been, to be new on the scene here of recent, they've done a lot of learning behind the scenes, and it's been going on for quite some time. So it's very fast, and the type of response it gives is very, very pleasing for what you'll put into it. Choosing the right AI for you. I won't go through this as well. This basically talks about your project needs, what the capability is, and what is the optimal solution, which that's a decision you'd need to make on your own. And if we can help you make that decision and guide you through that, we've been doing this for 3 years now. And 3 years is a long time in the world of AI. I can tell you that because it changes by the minute. And as we get to the end of that one, I want to go ahead and give you a live example here. So let's stop share, and then I'm going to jump to another screen. And what you're going to see here is Gemini. So I have, I don't know who's had opportunity to use. Hopefully you're all using AI in some level. Can you see my screen now? Yes? Okay. So what I will do is show you just a quick overview of how we're going to generate some content within this area. So I will go back to our case study and let's show you how easy this is. We're going to take this case study and we're simply going to capture this data, copy it. We're going to go to Grok and we're going to ask it. Let's start with Gemini. So we're going to go to Gemini and we're going to say, please build a short outline of a training focused on injury reduction. And we'll say using the following content. We'll paste that in. And once it's pasted in, you can see how fast we're going to be able to process this through Gemini. Gemini is a little quicker at getting things done. If you're using, there's different levels of ChatGPT, different levels of Gemini, and I'll go ahead and answer this FAQ, which is pretty common for us to be asked is how much do they cost and what do they do? They'll all do different levels of things, just like any other software. You can start with free. It does so much. Then you want to move to the next level. That's a low point entry, $10, $20 a month. And then if you're really going to use it, then you get a chance to move into something that's more desirable where you can use APIs and connections with the back end of your own system. And that's somewhere in the enterprise level, and that could be 10,000, $20,000 a year, depending on what you're doing with it. So as you see, we've already got an answer here. This shows us the training modules. It shows OSHA's best practices. It's gone out and grabbed those. It shows, it also shows the time, which is really cool to be able to determine how long these trainings would be. And you can build those accordingly. You can even give it commands to say, reduce it to 30 minutes, reduce it to 10 minutes, and it will do that for you. So now let's talk about where we are with our process. So we've started with this case study. We've walked it through strategy. We've looked at the tools that we would get to grab the content, to build the content. We've looked at how we would generate a script. And then the next step we're going to do is we're going to build it in a platform. So I've already done this for sake of time, and I want to show you what the end result would be. Now, this is an AI generated slide based on, injury statistics within the industry. It's going to talk about how we can reduce those and prevent injury.
Compliance with safety protocols, especially in managing hazardous energy, is paramount to preventing significant harm in the workplace. Adhering to established safety measures is estimated to prevent around 120 fatalities and 50,000 injuries annually. Moreover, workers exposed to hazardous energy and injured on the job typically require an average of 24 workdays for recuperation, emphasizing the severe impact such incidents can have on individual health and productivity.
Were you guys able to see that? Austin told me that we
No,
didn't.
you didn't have the screen shared.
Pardon me for doing that. I thought I had already shared, but I didn't click the right button. So you can see it now, correct?
Compliance with safety protocols, especially in managing hazardous energy, is paramount to preventing significant harm in the workplace. Adhering to established safety measures is estimated to prevent around 120 fatalities and 50,000 injuries annually. Moreover, workers exposed to hazardous energy and injured on the job typically require an average of 24 workdays for recuperation, emphasizing the severe impact such incidents can have on individual health and productivity.
All right. Now, I'm going to apologize because when we generated that, I think Mr. Austin Patton might have put a slide in there with an injury, a real injury. And that's done sometimes for shock factor. And if you watched any safety films at all in the industry, they're pretty blunt and to the point because they want to get this across to the guys that are in the field that, hey, this can happen to you. So that's what a finished product looks like. A training would be multiple modules, and that would be one of those things that you'd want to develop as we look through that strategy. Do want to let you know that we are, as Matt has to jump off, want to let you know that we have an upcoming training on the video side of things in the next 2 weeks. So mention that. Hopefully he caught that, but we'll make sure and let him know as we move forward from there. All right. I'm going to open it up to questions next, but just to summarize, we go through strategy first, content collection and creation of the script. Then we use that language model to develop that script to make it speak rather than just bullet points. And then we use the video tools to generate and edit whatever we need to create a training. And then ultimately that training will find its way onto the LMS and be able to be trackable and trainable within the company's portal itself. So let me go ahead and open it up to questions. And I know you guys we're right at 12:30. If you do have to go, I want to honor your time and thank you for being here. If not, then please jump in with any questions that I can answer at this point. Not everyone at once.
So what do you think that some of the future capabilities of the software are going to be, like, say, over the next 6 months to 2 years? What does that time horizon look like?
It's pretty cool. We love talking about this because we worked really closely with Synthesia, which is the platform we use for the production side. There's two parts that have not quite yet met in the middle we've been building. So Austin has been responsible for developing a very specific responsive chatbot element. You can call it a chatbot. It's much more than that. So the logic behind that is to train folks in the medical field to take their board exam. And it includes, the logic is pretty mind-blowing when you look at it, but it includes radiology reports, H&Ps, their actual physical report, includes a whole multitude. So they go through a case study, and it asks the resident questions and works through a two-way conversation. Then that's one side. The other side is the video production side, which you just saw. So those two are going to merge, and it all really hinges on processing power, which we're getting there now with quantum computing and things that are going on. I think we'll be very close within this next, let's say 18 months is a good number for us to arrive at a point where you'll have an avatar on the screen. The avatar will, be your spokesperson, your trainer, and that avatar will in fact train you on a specific subject. But not only will it talk, it will ask you questions, get your responses, and then it will continue to train you at a self-paced learning path, if you will. And the ability to be able to train in any subject, in any language is just phenomenal. So we're excited about it, and we're glad to be on the front end of it. Other questions? So
I assume that
Go
you would
ahead.
have some type of knowledge on terms of, whenever you're onboarding someone at a company utilizing this kind of training. Do you have, I'm assuming you have like knowledge checks and things built in. And if somebody wants to put, hey, they have to pass with a certain percentage, then you can just knock all that out of the park.
Yes, I mean that's
That's
the cool part
awesome.
about it, because we can set the passing grade to any percentile that you would want within your standards. We also have the ability to cut them off if they've taken it once and failed, or we can allow them to take it multiple times, which is what most companies prefer. They want them to continue to take it over until they have it perfected, and that's good because they're continuing to learn. Now, also to answer your question about some of the onboarding, we can in fact embed the I-9, your W-4, all of those required onboarding documents that most companies lose their mind over because they have to send people here and there to get them collected. We can embed those within the LMS, and when someone goes through onboarding, they can in fact fill those out, turn them in, and they can all be contained within that one system. Other questions? Okay, so I'm going to wrap up here pretty quick, but I do want to let you know that we do have another opportunity to train a little bit further with the video production side. So as it is with Synthesia that we use, we're going to do another webinar in a couple of weeks that will just focus on the video production side and how to use that and what its capabilities are. So you'll get a peek at avatars. The variety of avatars is amazing because, maybe a gentleman in a hard hat and a vest that relates to folks in the construction or safety field or warehouse, whatever it may be. And then you may have someone that's, in a suit and tie for a boardroom. You may have someone that's in, nurse scrubs or a lab coat for anything that's clinical or medical. And the list goes on and on. So we can tailor the background of what your employees need for the type of avatar we use. And then also the language itself, we can pick that language to teach those employees in their own native language. So the next date will be up for will be the 23rd, 2 weeks from today. It'll be at noon again. And we hope that you will join us for that. And just to add to that, we have our on-demand course, which will train from, A to Z on how to do things. That's going to be coming up in the near future, which we'll announce very soon. That on-demand course will be kind of a high-level overview of everything that is what you need to do. Then our next tier is the actual incubator studio, where we bring in clients and we teach them in a group setting once a week with homework, much like you'd be in a short course. And we'll do that over a period of 12 weeks. And that really is immersive. So that's the next tier. And of course, we're continuing to do what we've always done, which is to go out, consult, and do our full-blown learning and development studio, which is where we do the investigating and the collection of information within your organization. Talk to your employees, your directors, your managers, your leadership, get the vision, the culture, and the goals of what is expected and what the targets are. And we generate a lot of data that will give you good feedback on how we can cut costs within the company, improve your processes, and most of all, make it safer and more educated when it comes to employees in the field. So we hope you'll join us for that. And if there's not any other questions, we hope you will have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.